Firing chain is armed. Sound suppression water system activated. T-minus 10, 9.
But why some say the moon?
6, 5.
Why choose this as our goal? And they may well ask, why climb the highest mountain?
Space shuttle unlands. Mission.
We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other thing. Not because they are easy, but because they are hard.
59 years ago, the Soviets launched the first ever satellite, Sputnik 1. This feat was unprecedented for its time. The launch was the start of two related things, launched the era of space exploration and the start of the Cold War. During the Cold War, the United Socialist Soviet Republic and the United States competed to be the most dominant country. The greatest competition between these countries was the space race. The Soviets struck first with the first ever satellite in space, as well as the first man to make it beyond the atmosphere. The United States were never far behind. The Soviet Union had superior rocket technology. The United States had more advanced computers, which proved very useful in order to get to the moon. Then, in 1945, a group of 9 German scientists came to the United States to assist them with the Apollo missions. Without them, the United States may have never beat the Soviet Union to the moon. In 1969, the Americans launched Apollo 11, which successfully landed on the moon and essentially ended the Cold War, and thrust the United States ahead of the Soviets.
The Apollo space missions were very successful, including accounting for bringing the first humans to walk on the moon. But something in their studies to create the ultimate rocket went wrong, very wrong. On January 7, 1967, an Apollo rocket bringing 3 of the most monumental astronauts of the age, Gus Grissom, Ed White, and Roger Caffey, exploded on the launch pad before takeoff. This catastrophe led to a great sobering in the NASA headquarters, but wore off as they made more successful launches to end the decade on a high. By launching Apollos 8, 11, and 18, they were successfully pioneering the future. This happiness for adventure did not last, and soon the Challenger 1 was launched. It exploded in the sky in front of numerous onlookers, including the families of those inside. On July 4, 1987, the mission Mars Pathfinder arrived on Mars and started transmitting photos of the planet, and the achievement boosted NASA's spirits for the rest of the decade. However, on February 1, 2003, the manned mission Columbia burned up during re-entry of the Earth's atmosphere, which devastated NASA's reputation. Even more was yet in store for that decade, however, when in July 3, 2005, Space Shuttle collided with an asteroid half the size of Manhattan. However, on July 26 of that same year, NASA launched their first manned space shuttle since Columbia and finished off with another successful launch to finish the decade. And finally, NASA finished it off with the last known manned space mission of Atlantis in 2011.
One of the earliest ways scientists explored space was the telescope.
I think a lot of our early work in the solar system in those early years was very much about kind of looking inwards and trying to understand the Earth and doing a lot of monitoring about especially meteorological issues. And as the technologies evolved, we've realized, and we've gotten better sensors and better satellite systems, we've now turned our systems outwards and are studying the sun in greater detail, studying the distant reaches of our solar system, and even doing greater, better scans of like using the Hubble telescope of the far reaches of the universe. And so I think like the Hubble in particular gets a lot of credit for mapping the skies and trying to resolve different galaxies and different parts of the universe.
When the Hubble telescope was first launched into space, humanity was able to capture pictures that we couldn't dream of seeing before. Data from the Hubble telescope has helped scientists generate 10,000 papers in the past 20 years. But scientists knew they needed to be able to observe space with their own eyes, not just images from a telescope. They also needed a place to be, while they conducted numerous experiments. The International Space Station was constructed. The International Space Station is one of humanity's greatest experimental laboratories. The ISS has greatly helped scientists conduct hundreds of experiments in low Earth orbit. The ISS will eventually help scientists take steps in traveling to Mars. Scientists have also been able to create unmanned machines in order to study the geology of different planets in the solar system. One probe, the Cassini probe, was able to travel all the way out to Saturn and take incredible pictures that society could not have dreamed of seeing before. Thanks to the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter and the Mars rovers Spirit, Opportunity, and Curiosity, society has been able to understand Mars better than ever. One of scientists' greatest inventions is the satellite. Satellites are used to study Earth and other planets in the solar system. Satellites can also predict the weather and, in some cases, natural disasters. Satellites help scientists further understand some of space's greatest anomalies, like dark matter, black holes, and faraway galaxies. One of the primary ways NASA plans on traveling to Mars involves the makeup and composition of asteroids. NASA has already undertaken missions to identify, capture, and relocate asteroids to the orbit around the Moon. NASA then sends astronauts back to obtain the samples and study the effect on them.
Many people that own large companies see a big industry in the mining of asteroids for many different materials such as minerals and diamonds. Some asteroids can be worth up to $500 billion. These large companies, along with some very wealthy people, can have an opportunity to travel into space, but for a very large price, $250,000 a seat, and you are in space for about 2 hours. Many people are talking about the future of space travel, and some think that we should set up a space station on the Moon so that astronauts on missions won't have to waste time coming back to Earth. This is a smart idea because returning back to Earth from space is a very dangerous and time-consuming task.
The Earth will eventually become inhabitable, meaning the human race will have to leave Earth and find a new place to live. It is smart to have a backup plan for when we have to leave, and we know of a place that is quite close. Mars is a very dangerous and unforgiving place where temperatures can drop to negative 243 degrees Fahrenheit and dust storms that can knock you off your feet. But there is a great opportunity for life. There is availability for water, the prospects for generating food, oxygen, and building materials that are already there. Mars is the best and closest choice to colonize out of all the other planets in our solar system, and we need to look into the future of space travel, and colonization is the logical and necessary next step forward.